Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Pereira. The Bharatiya Janata Party chose Union Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu as its candidate for the vice presidential election on Monday. A veteran parliamentarian who has a close and long association with the RSS, Venkaiah Naidu ticks all the boxes for the BJP as the vice presidential candidate. The opposition has already named Gandhi's grandson, Gopal Krishna Gandhi, as its choice for the vice presidential post. Both Venkaiah Naidu and Gopal Krishna Gandhi have filed their nominations for the vice presidential election. Of them, one will succeed Hamid Ansari as Vice President and will also be the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will take a closer look at the Vice Presidential nominees. Joining me on the program today are Smita Gupta, Associate Editor of The Hindu, Navin Upadhyay, Political Editor of The Pioneer, Sanjay Singh, Political Editor of The First Post. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Smita Gupta, I'd like to begin with you. Who's going to succeed Mohammad Hamid Ansari as the next Vice President of India? I mean, I know the writing is on the wall, but still.
As things stand, obviously the BJP NDA candidate Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu will succeed Mr. Hamid Ansari because the numbers are stacked in favor of him, unless there is some big surprise.
They could be cross-voting though, but you know, because it's going to be a secret ballot and no one's going to know who's
Well,
going
the
to
only
vote.
surprise, I think, today the Biju Janata Dal, which is voting for the BJP NDA, which voted for the BJP NDA candidate in the presidential election, has declared its support to Mr. Gopal Gandhi.
You know, so...
and also the JDU, which did not vote, is also... So there are two extra parties, but the numbers are still
Indeed. And the BJP doesn't even need to rely on some of the regional parties because the numbers are clearly stacked in its favor at the moment. But Sanjay Singh, let me bring you to the picture now. You know, when the election is a foregone conclusion, why is the opposition or the opposition parties putting up a candidate? What is the motive of the opposition really?
See, to begin with, in democracy, elections elections are always welcome. There cannot be a democracy without elections for any constitutional post. The posts which are, say, you have a presidential election, you have vice presidential election, and you have a parliamentary form of government whereby you elect MPs and they elect the Prime Minister. Therefore, election party is okay. No problems with that. There has to be an election, there is an election. The problem is when you start talking about giving it some kind of an ideological positioning, you make an ideological positioning that this is a clash of ideas, ideology and so on and so forth. And therefore, somebody is pitching somebody who is for or against. In this case, as in presidential election, I have maintained what Meera Kumar used to say. She used to ask for consensus vote. Unfortunately, I think consensus vote is going to go against her, not in favor of her. Also, if you look at Meera Kumar's credentials and also Gopal Krishna Gandhi's credentials, Gopal Krishna Gandhi was essentially picked up because he is Mahatma Gandhi's grandson.
Right.
You also mentioned that in your opening statement. Meera Kumar was picked up because she is daughter of Babu Jagjeevan Ram, Dalit leader of I don't think any other Dalit leader has reached to the stature that Jagjeevan Ram had. And therefore, when you essentially place that make that kind of positioning and then bring ideology into it, you essentially mix two things which do not gel. Third point about Gopal Krishna Gandhi, he is going to lose. It's not very healthy for Mahatma's grandson to stand in an election and lose. Rajmohan Gandhi has contested election twice, once from Amethi, next time from Israeli in last parliamentary elections and lost on both counts. Gopal Krishna Gandhi, I think, is staring at same fate. I don't think whether this is very healthy thing for Mahatma's legacy that his grandson stood in an election and lost, finding political relevance.
That is an obvious question, really. Why did he accept the nomination in the first place when he knows he's going to lose? You know, there was a chance to nominate him as the president in 2012. That chance was not taken in 2012. Let me bring in Navin Upadhyay into the picture now. You know, as far as Gopal Krishna Gandhi is concerned, really, what does it do for his image?
Well, I don't think it's going to tarnish his image in any way. I mean, contesting an election is prerogative of anybody, and I mean, he knows all along that he is going to lose. There is no chance. He has no chance. He knows it too well. No surprise can come about in this election. But I think, you know, the most significant part of this entire election is that it could be a forerunner for unifying the opposition parties as far as the opposition is concerned, and that is where the opposition is betting on. You have already seen that Janata Dal U and BJD, which supported the NDA candidate in the presidential elections, they have shifted. And you know, the opposition is now using this vice presidential election to put its front together. So I think more than the elections result, I think this election can be a forerunner for how the opposition is going to come together for the 2019 election, and that is how I see its significance, that Kumar and Biju Janata Dal U both have come on board, and now if the opposition is able to carry forward this unity process in 2019, I think that could be the most interesting outcome of this battle.
Okay, fair enough. Smita Gupta, can this flock really stay together, especially when all these regional parties have their own aspirations, have their own set of rules? So can they stay together till 2019? Is this vice presidential election going to be a binding factor as far as the opposition is concerned?
Well, it's an occasion for them to come together, and certainly I agree with Navin Upadhyay that this is a forerunner to 2019. And when you say that, of course, they have varied aspirations, there may be several among them who hope to emerge as the leader of that grouping. But the thing is that if they don't come together, what is the option? The option may be irrelevance. Because in the last election, the BJP, though it got only 31% of the vote, it won a huge mandate. And successive assembly elections, barring the one in Bihar and Delhi, have shown that the BJP is doing extremely well. It's not flagging yet. So it is in their own interest, selfish interest if you like it, to remain politically relevant, for them to come together. What is binding them together is that necessity to remain relevant.
Right.
So I think there will be ups and downs, I'm pretty sure, in the next 2 years. As we have seen, even between the presidential and the vice presidential election, there's been a change for a variety of reasons, including preference for a particular candidate.
Sure.
Because in this case, Mr. Gopal Gandhi was the initial choice of the opposition, which included the Biju Janata Dal and the JDU. And when the opposition couldn't make up its mind, and then it just responded to the election of Mr. Kovind and chose Meera Kumar, these two parties dropped out and supported Kovind.
Sure.
So therefore, there will be similar ups and downs in the coming 2 years. But there is no option, if you ask me, for these opposition parties but to get together. If they don't get together, they cannot, take on the challenge of the BJP.
Indeed. Going back to the point that we were making about Gopal Krishna Gandhi, Sanjay, as far as the opposition is concerned, do you believe they missed a plot, in naming the presidential candidate before the NDA did, and also now, since they have named the vice presidential candidate, do you believe that the pressure was on the NDA camp to come up with a name that matches or for that matter surpasses in stature?
See, the question you asked raises multiple questions. If Gopal Krishna Gandhi was not declared as NDA opposition's Congress-led opposition presidential candidate in Chennai in June, that was a huge mistake by the Congress. Why it did not happen? Because Rahul Gandhi did not want to get into that kind of consultation process out there in Chennai when all these leaders, opposition leaders, had gone to celebrate 94th birthday of Karunanidhi. From there on to some parties supporting or opposing this thing, I think the biggest problem here, as part of strategy, it's well and good that you could talk to other parties in opposition and form a umbrella kind of a situation, and thereafter you go in 2019 election. The moment you make that as part of your political discourse, you make a big mistake. Because what had happened subsequently, the first meeting that Sonia Gandhi chaired, and everybody there was talking about 2019 election and opposition unity. What was the news? Nitish Kumar not coming to that particular meeting. That was the news.
Yes.
In this case, Nitish Kumar may have supported Gopal Krishna Gandhi, but Nitish Kumar is drifting apart from the whatever Mahagathbandhan that is there in Bihar. You create a situation, you create a hype, and you don't match up to that hype. And there, in fact, essentially lay the problem. In name of corruption, whatever is happening, you give a guard that to protect secularism, we forget everything, corruption, criminality and everything. There lay the problem. Because India of 2017 is a conscious India whereby people also have access to various other mediums whereby they gather information and also get into communication with each other and also debate and discussions, maybe mainstream media, maybe social media or wherever. Gopal Krishna Gandhi's candidature, they thought was a masterstroke on their part. Unfortunately for Gopal Krishna Gandhi, the issue of Yaqub Menon's hanging has come up.
Yes.
That does not augur well for him.
Yeah.
That's not the kind of discourse which opposition party would have wanted in this particular case. Venkaiah Naidu, you can talk about Gopal Krishna Gandhi is an accomplished administrator. He is accomplished scholar. He has credentials, vast credentials to speak. In contrast, you have Venkaiah Naidu, a rooted to ground to politician who comes from South India, but has made a mark in party which was essentially North Indian, and the party is trying to expand in South India. Venkaiah Naidu has close connect with RSS and BJP and has risen from the ranks, and therefore his choice by the BJP also has loaded meanings for the party and also for the nation. Venkaiah Naidu is kind of a person who loves give one-liners. His one-liners are always very interesting, and therefore, if you, I don't think going into the comparison and contrast between qualities, strength, and weaknesses of Venkaiah Naidu and Gopal Krishna Gandhi does not lead us to anywhere. The fact remains that numbers are heavily loaded in favor of Venkaiah Naidu. He is going to sell through, and the kind of discourse that has emanated from, particularly in last few days, about Yaqub Menon's hanging and his kind of filing petitions, that I think is not going to do very well for the opposition.
Sure. You know, we've spoken a lot about Gopal Krishna Gandhi, spoken a little less about M. Venkaiah Naidu. So let's shift the focus now on Venkaiah Naidu. And Navin Upadhyay, what is it that Venkaiah Naidu can bring to the table if he is elected as the next Vice President of India?
See, as far as the NDA is concerned, or BJP, I think he is the best choice. And I think, you know, this time there was no surprise. I think BJP is always sprung surprise. Everybody, I think, was guessing that Venkaiah Naidu will be the vice president, primarily because BJP needs a person with a lot of legislative experience in Rajya Sabha, you know, to conduct Rajya Sabha, where BJP is finding a lot of resistance from the opposition. With Venkaiah Naidu in chair, he has excellent rapport with the opposition leaders. He has vast legislative experience, and that the BJP will hope will come in handy for him to, you know, to keep the opposition together at a time, you know, when BJP needs harmony in Rajya Sabha for passage of very important bills. And you are saying that even today Rajya Sabha could not function. So there, you know, you need a person like Venkaiah Naidu. He is an excellent man, you know, that way to run the house. But I would like to make a quick point when people are raising this issue of Yaqub Menon's hanging, and which this opposition candidate Mr. Gandhi had opposed. But they also remember that he was a man who also spoke his mind against what happened in Nandigram, and he also came down heavily against the left parties when they were, you know, there were violent farmers' protests in West Bengal. He was also highly critical of politics of intolerance. So I think if you look at his, you know, speeches and the sort of points he has made, I think he has been equally, you know, harsh against all sort of extremist views. So I would not like to flag one particular issue to damn him. Of course, I mean, Venkaiah Naidu is going to win, and there is no contest between him and Mr. Gandhi. But I think, you know, opposition is, as far as Mr. Gandhi is concerned, I think it's one of the best choice for the opposition if they want to make it as a clash of ideology.
Sure. You know, Sticking to the point that Navin was making about, the Rajya Sabha. We saw what happened in the Rajya Sabha today. We've seen what has happened in the Rajya Sabha over the last 1 year. The battle really has shifted from the Lok Sabha to the Rajya Sabha now. And that's where the battle is going to be over the next few months, because the opposition is still going to be in power there, or is going to be in the majority there. So taking that into consideration, do you believe that Venkaiah Naidu's skills of managing the House will come to the fore?
Absolutely. I think one of the major reasons, possibly the most important reason why Mr. Venkaiah Naidu has become the BJP-led NDA's choice, is that they believe that he will be able to politically manage the Rajya Sabha. He has long legislative experience, as Navin pointed out. He also has a very pleasant personality. He has been Parliamentary Affairs Minister. So he has vast experience in this House. He knows a lot of people across party lines. And that is very important, really, as far as running the House is concerned, because you can reach across to all sections. Absolutely. And there is for another year, I don't think the BJP will be able to get control of that House. So I think that was, apart from the fact that, he's a BJP, he's been in the BJP for so many years, he was in the ABVP before, he's close to Narendra Modi, all those other qualities apart, I think this is a very, very prime
As far as
factor.
the BJP is concerned, he was tailor-made for this position, wasn't he? I mean, just like, fits perfectly into this role of the Vice President of India.
Yeah, especially because this is what they want him to do.
Sure. Sanjay, for the BJP, though, it's going to be a big loss, because he was someone who was, burdening a lot and carrying a lot on his shoulders. He's now going to be missing from the cabinet. He's already missing from the cabinet. It's going to be big shoes to fill for the BJP.
Yeah, surely, because he was also president of the party, and somebody who was president in 2004, and subsequently he is in Vajpayee government he was rural development minister, in Modi government he is urban development minister. So he knows how to transform into the various roles. I think whatever Smita says, I perfectly agree with that, and I'll just add one line. Venkaiah Naidu has a very pleasing personality. He also has to transform his persona a bit when he sits and occupies chairman of Rajya Sabha. As a political leader, as leader of the BJP, Venkaiah Naidu also had this tendency to take opposition head on. Now he has to bring everybody to table, talk around and bring some kind of consensus and reach and use his reach with and connect with various political parties to ensure that House functions smoothly, because now it is very important for the government and also for the parliament that Rajya Sabha functions well. Out there in public discourse, Rajya Sabha is being constantly talked about.
Yes.
Disturbances in Rajya Sabha much more than the disturbances out there in Lok Sabha, also because numbers are heavily skewed in favor of the opposition in Rajya Sabha. That of course will take some time to fill in, but even if assuming that those numbers were not there and BJP has majority, even then chairman's skill is going to be hugely important out there in Rajya Sabha. More so, Venkaiah Naidu, given his persona, he is going to be kind of chairman, which perhaps Bhairav Singh Shekhawat used to be. This is not to say that the present chairman, Hamid Ansari, he has contributed quite a lot in Rajya Sabha. He has, with question hour and 0 hour timing, his experiment, I think, has been very good. But then Venkaiah Naidu is going to be a person who people will, I think, are going to see a very active, very energetic president, a chairman who is going to sit for most of the hours inside the house. At least that is being talked about.
Right.
He is going to be there in the house. He has bundle of energy. He is also going to travel across the country, because as a minister or as an MP, as BJP president, he was a person who was not sitting quietly in his house. He was every day, he was traveling here and there, and besides holding chair meetings and so on and so forth. So in Venkaiah Naidu, you are going to see a transformation for the position of chairman Rajya Sabha.
Sure, indeed. Let me bring in Neerja Choudhary into the program as well, senior journalist. Thank you so much for joining us. As far as the candidates are concerned, Gopal Krishna Gandhi and Venkaiah Naidu, how do they match up against each other?
They are very different at one level. Venkaiah Naidu is completely a mainstream politician belonging to the ruling party today. He's had a very long innings, and he started off being Advani acolyte, if you remember, and he's been a troubleshooter for Narendra Modi. As he was saying, you know, with the way he took on the opposition frontally when the opposition needed to be taken on, they felt, to crack jokes, to make those one-liner, you know, smart remarks. If you remember the recent one, I'm Usha Pati, not going to be Uprashtrapati. You know, those are typical Venkaiah Naidu things. And of course, he knows the players across parties very well. As has been said, that Parliamentary Affairs Minister, of course, gave him the opportunity to interact very closely with all the parties and its major leaders. So he is an insider to the system in that sense, has been for many years.
Will he be allowed to make independent decisions?
That time will tell. Independent decisions, you know, the Vice President as a chair of the House, yes, if you're dealing with the House, you make independent decisions on the spot. You have to, in order to keep the House functioning. Gopal Gandhi is a very good candidate from the opposition side, erudite, of course, impeccable lineage, South and North connect, South and West connect, grandson of Mahatma Gandhi, grandson of the first Governor General C. Rajagopalachari. Many accomplishments to his own credit as diplomat, as administrator and governor. He took bold decisions, and he's broadly got the image of a man who doesn't have a personal agenda, and member of the Gandhi family, Mahatma Gandhi's family, who's not, they've not thrust themselves on the country in that sense and grasp things, you know, grasp power. Also a subscriber of those old school values on which modern India has been founded.
Sure.
So in that sense, he's acceptable to a very large group of people, erudite. So let's see how he conducts his campaign also. It'll be very interesting to see the notes he strikes. And
indeed, indeed.
So both are, but both have a connection to the South.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why the BJP may have decided to field Mr. Venkaiah Naidu as Vice President is the Southern connection, and the BJP is very keen in 2019, having peaked in the North Indian states, now to make forays into the South, and Mr. Venkaiah Naidu has those connections. Gopal Gandhi, of course, lives in Chennai, and he has, because of Rajagopalachari's links also and his own work, he also has links with the South.
Sure.
So, you know, the president, both of them candidates are from the North. So it's in the fitness of things that the vice presidential candidate
striking a balance somewhere. Yes. Okay. I've got time for one final comment on the program. So Navin Upadhyay, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Well, I personally feel that, you know, this is no contest. And as far as the opposition attempt to make it as a clash of ideology, that is also not going to really make much difference, because this debate has gone on for ages. Personally, I feel, as I have said, this is going to be a forerunner for 2019. Opposition is going to use this to unite itself, and I think the outcome will reflect in the coming days in how the opposition carries itself. I think if the opposition remains united, this could be a the way that things unfold, I think this could be quite a interesting political developments in time to come.
All right. On that note, then, we'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Smita Gupta, Sanjay Singh, Navin Upadhyay and Neerja Choudhary, thank you so much for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's all the time we have today. See you again next time.